Hello and welcome everybody to the IRPAS by Fendi Racing Pro Am Championship. This is season 7. We're into round 3 already of this epic championship event. So without any further delay, let's head trackside and see what the drivers are all up to before we get any further along. We've got a few race details to bring up, but first, let's go to the track information. Week 3 at Mount Panorama. This is the IRPAS by Fendi Racing, the Pro Am Championship. Weather's going to be 21 degrees Celsius, and it'll be 41% humidity. Clear skies with 3 kilometers per hour being the crosswind. We've got a couple of keys to the race. You got to respect the rhythm of the mountain section, respecting its flow, not going in too fast. So carrying your momentum and your exit speed will be more paramount to your race rather than just going out there and rushing elbows with the concrete barriers. As you can see, coming out of the cutting, it's very, very tight. Precision over aggression leads into our keys to the race as well. Because you want to be precise, not aggressive into these corners, you have to respect the mountain barriers. And number 4, respecting the mountain, not only the barriers, but the undulations and the elevation changes of Mount Panorama will be super important to these drivers. We've got the full configuration here in Australia. We are driving at Bathurst. We've already talked about the altitude, but what about the altitude of the track, you might ask? Well, we have some more details there because we have a track length of 3.8 miles, founded in 1938, unchanged since 87. We're in Bathurst, North South Wales, Australia. It's got 23 corners, 14 to the left, 9 to the right, 571 feet of elevation change with a 1.1 mile long Conrod straightaway. We've got some more race details coming at you, but first, let's review the championship standings and see where the drivers end up falling. In the GT3 Pro category, we have Harry Price leading the way for Clark St. James Motorsport with 660 points. Oliver Jansen in P2, Samuel Cruz in P3, Tim Reed in 4th, Michael Zuckmunt in 5th place with 490 points. So it's quite nippy between the top 5. Only 170 points separate all of them. And John Jennings, Kohler, Andy White, Gerald Williams, Tyler Reed, Sam Bentley, Eduardo Vecino, Josh Heagy, Jeremy Julich, Gene Kelly, Peter McDade, David Holzhammer, and Zyle Slogfrin. Excuse me on the pronunciation guide. I apologize. Let's head over to the GT3 AMs and see what they've been all up to. Going into round number 3 here is Joel Luden in P1 for the Mobile Fabrication Services with 420 points. Then Rene Garcia in P number 2. Jordan Butler in P3 with Nick Batista in P4. James Vardigans in P5. Cameron Burke in P6. James Moore in 7th. Dan Fennick in 8th. Thomas Godfrey in 9th. Harry Severin in 10th. Then Anton Baden, Travis Fleming, Mauricio Marquez Ramos, Brandon Mateo, Gareth Earl, Shane Wells, Matthew Sherwood, and Kevin Schmeck being the last of the participants here for the Fendi Racing Championship. Over to the times we go. Joshua Heagy leads the charge right now with a 2:02.75. Pro Reed. Tim Reed, excuse me. He is a pro. Practicing his standing start right now. 2:03.57 will be Pro Tim Reed. That's going to annoy me. Tim Reed's charge here. Nick Batista in 4th position right now. But first in his category, John Jennings is going to be in 5th position, 4th for their category. Joel Loudon, Gerald Williams, Harry Price, Renee Garcia, Oliver Jansen, Brandon Mateo, James Vargans, Paul McHugh, Cameron Burke, Matthew Sherwood, Dan Fendick, Alex Hillman, Mauricio Marquez Ramos, Tyler Reed, Travis Flemings are going to round out the 21 drivers tonight that are participating in this event. And I think most of the drivers resting their heads in pit lane right now. Here's Tyler Reed for the Operation Motorsports team. Good enough for 8th position in class, 13th overall. Travis Flemings coming into the final corner for the final time, but stops just short, perhaps doing a couple of practice starts themselves before getting things done and dusted. Tyler Reed and their Operation Motorsports liveried car looking pretty good on the racetrack, folks. We've talked about the keys of the race. We've talked about the championship standings. We've talked about what's on the line, folks. We have an epic 40-minute race. 55% fuel is going to be the maximum that these drivers can take. So expect to see them taking at least one pit stop for this event. Big shout out to the families in the United States of America enjoying their Thanksgiving weekend, doing nothing better than what they love. It's sim racing, folks. This is going to be a Bathurst like no other. We have 20 qualified drivers ready to take to the 24 corners here at the mountain section of Mountain Panorama. We have drivers split up into 2 different categories. We have the pros and we have the amateurs as well, in each of their own battles outright for some big points this season with Fendi Racing. We do have a standing start for these GT3s. Waiting for a few other drivers to get gridded up before we take the green flag. Waiting for the red lights to become illuminated, and when they fall, we will be green flag running, and away we go. There's a great start from Pro Tim Reed. Up the inside, going in towards corner number 1. He has the leap of faith done on Andy White, going back into P number 3. Looking further back, it's all neat and tidy for most of the drivers coming through the grid right now. And through corner number 1, the orange flag zone, it was calm, cool, and collected. Let's look at Harry Price's battle really quickly with Joel Loudon right now, as they're in a battle for not in class, but just for bragging rights and position overall. We have a 1.7 second gap right now from Nicholas Batista to Joel Loudon. in that GT3 amateur battle, and GT3 pros is a little bit close as Josh Higgy makes a little bit of a mistake coming through the mountain pass and falls back to a nearly half a second gap. But Pro Tim Reed and Andy White are both in chase to the guy in front, who's Josh Higgy right now. Through the mountain section, there's nothing that can be done for the drivers at this point of asking. Just falling in single file line is the best that they can do, as it were. Coming down the long Conrad straight into the chase for the first time are all the drivers. Josh Higgy leads Tim Reed over Andy White currently in the battle for the pros, but it's getting a little dusty out there as the drivers find track limits at the end of the chase. A little bit of a battle here coming down into corner number 1, Hell's Corner. Oliver Jansen and Rene Garcia duking it out for a nice three-way squabble as we come down the mountain road into the corner number 3. Into Quarry Bend we go, but now it'll be a continued side-by-side debauchery between the Porsche and the NSX, as they are not fighting for position overall. Excuse me, they are fighting for position overall, just not in class right now, as Oliver Jansen is in 7th position, 3/10 back from Gerald Williams, who's in 6th position. Back over to the gap between the leaders right now. It's 1.2 seconds from Tim Reed to Joshua Higgy. Still 2/10 the gap between Andy White and Tim Reed. The battle for P1 currently. Look to the inside line at the chase. Can't find the daylight there. Trying to find the overspeed the long way around the outside is Andy White. Will he be able to fully pull alongside in that Aston Martin? He does get on the brakes super late, mounts the curves, shows him that he's got the stuff to make it go all the way to P1 currently. Andy White has a lot of work to do if he wants to catch back up to P1. It's a 1.9 second gap right now. And we all know catching is one thing, passing is a completely different ball game. Here's the battle between John Jennings and Harry Price coming down the mountain pass. Harry's on the inside line going into corner number 2 of Quarry Bend, easily secures the maneuver. The AMG pilot working very well against his counterparts here. Gotta say, I love these liveries. They show so much character from the drivers here tonight. John Jennings, the driver from Australia, currently running in P5 in class. running 6th overall behind Nick Batista, who is running in 4th overall, first in the Pro Am category, the 064. What about the Marble Man of Matthew Sherwood, running in 4th position right now in the category, half second back from Brando Mazzeo. Fastest lap coming out for Andy White that last time around, a 2:03.4, so he is breaking the barrier and catching up to Josh Heege out in front. Breaking away from Tim Reed behind Andy White, seems to be doing very well. What about the battle here between Harry Reid and Tim Reed? No, excuse me, that's Nick Batista that he got by. So the pros trying to fight their way by and through on the amateur leader right now, who leads by a healthy 3 seconds. Doesn't really need to put up a fight to these gentlemen on track. Knows that he's in a different category, knows that he's got some success against his back right now as a driver goes off, trying to find out whom that was. Oliver Jansen is the driver who went off track there for just a brief moment in time, driving that Porsche. Able to regain their composure, stay back on the racetrack. Here's a battle between John Jennings and Gerald Williams, the driver behind, looking like they want to pounce towards the kink, but falling in line is the safer thing to do, and hopefully they do so. Covering off the inside line is John Jennings, preventing any attacking move from the driver behind, and fights to live another day. But how long will this last for, folks? Because a move looks like it's being made coming up towards Hell's Corner, the inside line. It will be looked at no matter what, but backing up into the rest of the field right now, Oliver Jansen now getting by Jennings. Rene Garcia in tow also. We've got a 4-way squabble leading down the mountain bend into corner number 2, and 2x2 we go, and nobody gets touched whatsoever. All the racing room was left there going in towards Corey Bend. Now up the mountain, different story, single file line. That'll be Gerald Williams leading John Jennings over Oliver Jansen over Rene Garcia. Alex Hellman, the driver from the United States, in 5th place, chasing down Matthew Sherwood out in P4. Back by 0.2 of a second, but a little bit closer than that as the driver of the Marble Ferrari touches the wall, the exit of Forest Elbow, and now we'll have to be on the defensive line going into the kink. Side by side we go. The overspeed from the Mustang hasn't quite kicked in yet until we get to the kink. Clear cutting through ahead. Fastest laps trickling in, 2:03.0 from Joshua Heege now, 2:03.7, 2:04.2 from the guys behind. That was an excellent, well-cut and thought-out move from Alex Hillman, who promotes himself now up into P3 as Brandon Mateo comes through the final corner, spun out, pointed in the opposite direction to make that P3 in class for Alex Hillman. Matthew Sherwood just gave up a podium. Keeping an eye here on Sherwood and his combatant ahead's battle right now, because it doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere soon as Matthew Sherwood gains a little bit more composure, keeps that gap hovering around that 8-9 margin, and that's where he wants to be coming out of the Forest Elbow down the Conrad Straight, maximizing his slipstream run, using the car in front to punch a hole in the air to maximum effect will be paramount to catching back up to Alex Hillman, the driver in third position right now. And you can see the gap closing there as Sherwood gets on the throttle a little bit better than last time, avoiding the barrier also. And all it takes is one good lap to catch back up and get your head down into the mix. Sherwood's doing that after a bout with the barriers. Checking in with Nick Batista as he's battling it out with Harry Price. Doesn't need to go for this, but if he can prove he is the faster of the two cars, he can get by. But a little defensively goes the 24, covering off the inside line for Corey Ben. Doesn't want to go for an egregious maneuver there, and we're about to get into the fuel window. This might be an opportunity for the Puerto Rican driver to decide to take their pit stop a little bit earlier than the rest of the field, get out of traffic, and get back into clear air one more time. Now it looks like Nick Batista's the driver that settled into things and has backed up the pack. One more time, John Jennings, Alfred Jansen, deciding that they want to come through sooner rather than later. We'll have to make sure that that happens cleanly and neatly. At the kink, we go side by side, but John Jennings finds their way through. Oliver Jansen, Porsche on Porsche crimes being committed here shortly, coming down into Hell's Corner, looks to the inside line, backs out of it once they realize that that move was not going to be allowed on the outright. Now going into Hell's Corner, this is where the orange flag stipulation takes place for this event, meaning that all overtakes will be looked at and scrutinized heavily if they result in contact, but no contact was made. Jansen, being a gentleman, finds his way through on Nick Batista, who's now got Rene Garcia only 1.9 seconds back, and you can see them waiting in the wings right there is Rene. Now Renee has been given a gift of a couple of seconds because Nick Batista has lost a whole bunch to the traffic around him. Perhaps in a little bit of conservation mode right now. But Rene Garcia has been given about 2 seconds in time to Nicholas Batista right now. And best not squander that, because now the gap is just 1.6 seconds between the leader and second place. Alex Hillman in third place, 3.3 seconds back currently. And pit stop calls are being made as we speak. Andy White comes down pit road. Anybody else that we see? No, just Andy White so far. The driver from the UK in the 86 Aston Martin decides to take a very early pit stop on the rest of the field, potentially coming out into clearer air. Now rolling out of pit lane, down 11 positions on the good currently. Next driver up the road for Andy White's going to be Brandon Mateo, who's 5 seconds up on himself. McHugh chasing down Fendick out in front, coming up the hill into the mountain pass. Through Quarry Bend, the Cutting, Griffin's Mount, Reed Park, Salmon Park. And blasting down into Skyline for the 9th time of asking. Now the drivers surely running on fumes as we approach the halfway point of this event. This is a battle for position in class as well as overall. 14th and 15th place overall, but this is for 8th and 7th. Nicholas Batista and Rene Garcia come down pit road. Alex Hillman's going to be the driver who inherits the lead of GT3 Am for a short duration. Keeping an eye on this battle as well as the drivers coming out of pit road. We've got another little battle, and I think that'll be Nicholas Batista and Rene Garcia. That is Rene Garcia, the driver ahead of Nick Batista, the provisional leader of this event, now caught in a bit of a quarrel as they just got undercut by the Honda NSX in front of them. But now is the NSX on a different fuel strategy than the Porsche is. three-way battle here. Dan Fennick right now leads the charge over Paul McHugh, Rene Garcia, Nicholas Batista. Of course, Fennick and McHugh both have not taken their pit stops yet. They'll have to come down within the next lap or two, but the battle still remains between Rene Garcia and Nick Batista. Trying to find any way by before the pit stop call. At this point, I'd say going for the undercut might be the best bet for Paul McHugh. Dan Fennick can retort in kind. Tyler Reed comes out behind the battling Nick Batista and Rene Garcia currently. And they're going to bump elbows down the mountain straight away. Coming into Quarry Bend, the Honda NSX slips it into the gutter, slingshots them around and out of the corner and up the hill towards the cutting. It'll be the Honda NSX of Rene Garcia over Nick Batista, the Puerto Rican driver. Up ahead, we have the battle between Paul McHugh and Dan Fennick still raging on as we have a 2x2 battle for for the pro category as well as the amateur category currently. Surely the pit stop call will be made now, coming down out of the chase for the 12th time of asking. Neither of these drivers yields to pit lane. It looks like Rene Garcia is becoming a little bit impatient. Flashy of the headlights. Trying to find a way by, goes to the inside at Hell's Corner, runs the 40 a little bit deep there. And you can see the sense of urgency from the 74, understanding that they've inherited the lead of the race, trying to let the drivers around know by communicating with the headlights. And now they're stuck together like glue coming through the mountain pass. Whether you're slow or whether you're faster, there's just no way to make it by other than sending it through Skyline. But the driver in front has to be complicit with that decision. It's not something you can just tango with on your own. Definitely needs a dance partner. No moves being made tonight at Skyline, the top of the hill, before you pump it down through the Dippa. But you can tell the Acura NSX just that much quicker through the mountain section. The back half, the confidence is just absolutely there over that Ferrari out in front. And the gap closes down in front, but also from behind. Nick Batista closing down the gap on Rene Garcia. Out in front is Dan Fennick. This looks like a posturing move going towards the inside line, but single file has to be the order of operation to get through alive and cleanly. More flashy of the headlights from that number 74 behind. Now desperate to get by 2 cars out in front. Dan Fennick, and who is that? Alex Hillman, driver who's gained 10 positions tonight. The number 11 doing very well for themselves. Rene Garcia able to get by Fennick there. And off to races. Now Nick Batista needs to do similarly and in kind. Just to give you an idea of the pit stops so far, Joshua Higgy and Oliver Jansen finally come down in the pro category, but Matthew Sherwood has not taken their pit stop yet. Nicholas Batista gets by Dan Fennick, who's on that late strategy for their pit stop cycle. Now up the road a considerable amount will be Rene Garcia, 2.6 up the road now to Nicholas Batista, all done in 1 lap. Pit stop finally for Matthew Sherwood allows Alex Hillman, Rene Garcia, and Nicholas Batista to regain their podium positions, but if I'm not mistaken, Alex Hillman has taken a pit stop and is in the lead of this event by 1.5 seconds, driving the Ford Mustang. Alex Hillman taking a pit stop the last time around, running 2:04.59 that last lap around, or 2:04.66, excuse me, being their best lap, 2:36.8 being their last lap around. So obviously just taking a very short pit stop down to 14 seconds. And nipping out of nearly 3 seconds just in pit lane time alone. Leaders come in: Reed, Price, Williams, Jennings. All come down pit row from the GT3 Pro category. That should promote Joshua Higgy into the lead yet again. Andy White in second. Tim Reed in third. Harry Price in fourth. Gerald Williams in fifth. John Jennings in sixth. Oliver Jansen in seventh. Alex Hillman, driver, up 11 positions tonight. The number 11 aptly put right now. But does have Rene Garcia in tow. 1.5 seconds the gap, with just about 15 minutes remaining on the clock. We got 14:10 by the end of my spiel. Shout out to everybody in the YouTube chat. Thank you very much for being here. Bodeman, Josh, Juggle Dan, Jeremy. Really appreciate you all being here. Thank you very much for the support and the hospitality. Hopefully you're enjoying this race of kings around Panorama. Andy White closes a gap down to within 1 second of Joshua Higgy, but I want to stay looking right here for now because Alex Hillman's gap with Rene Garcia is coming down as well. That'll be the James Vardigan's car getting by a back marker. I believe that'll be the 26. No. Whom was that? The 40? Back over to the battle between Andy White and Joshua Higgy right now. Separated by 0.8 of a second. Last lap around being almost identical. 204.1 to a 203.6. So gaps going in the way of Andy White currently. Barring any mistake from the Titan that is Josh Higgy tonight, it's be a hard mountain to climb. .203.9 to 203.7 last laps around for the leaders, and it looks like Rene Garcia was able to get by Sherwood that takes their second pit stop of the night. This will be a Rene Garcia victory here in front of Nick Batista. Should they be able to hold on to the laps and battle with the mountain for the remainder of this time. Looking forward to the last 10 minutes of this event. And so are these drivers as they push to the limit. Brief graze with the wall for the Ferrari of Josh Higgy, United States driver. Getting a little out of sorts right now, attacking the curbs a little aggressively. And a couple glances with the barriers to boot might be causing them some angst here, as well as the pressure from the AMR from behind, who's closing down the gap at a rate faster than not. Looking to the inside line, Andy White looked but didn't quite pounce on this occasion. A little too far back to make anything end up working. 0.4 the gap separates White from He out in front of this battle. 4P1 in the GT3 Pro category. Again, another look to the inside line. Andy White trying to make daylight from darkness here. No routes around currently. Let's go on board with the driver. This is Josh Heagy's point of view currently. Let's switch over to Andy White now, the car behind. Looking towards the inside line, coming into the final corner will be Andy White, but getting the defense chopped out of him will be Josh Heagy on that inside line. But a switchback tried to get engaged from White behind. Could not find the daylight there either. Slowed them both down into the 205s. This is allowing Tim Reed up the field and within spitting distance of the two drivers in the lead right now. 2.8 seconds the gap from Tim Reed to Andy White. Josh Heagy leads the charge when we pass the 38-minute mark. Looking again to the inside line, any which way possible, even at the cutting. You can sense the desperation coming out from the 86 now. Hopefully a move's not being thought of or even inceptioned. Coming into Skyline, because that's a little far back for a Skyline move to work. 0.3, quarter second back. Gaps open up just marginally from Andy White to Josh Heagy on that lap through the mountain pass. Unbelievable how these drivers are making this look so easy. Tim Reed in third position, no change today in his overall standings. Big movers right now. Andy White making that big move on the inside of corner number 1 on the leader, Josh Heagy, who was really just complicit there, will be the big change of the evening. In the overall standings, that'll have championship implications. But now fighting side by side, coming down the mountain straightaway is going to be Andy White and Josh Heagy. And going in towards the quarry bend, that Aston Martin's going to hit the gutter, slingshot themselves around while the Ferrari really just has nowhere left to go. Coming up the hill into the cutting now. Single file line, no opportunities can be made just yet. Big mover right now being Sherwood and Price up on the leaderboards tonight. Price is up 4 positions on the good of the evening. Sherwood up 6 positions right now. And there in the background is Tim Reed, number 155, chasing down Josh Heege and Andy White. Andy has escaped with his life at this time of asking 2:04.567. Escaped up the road by 1.6 seconds. Josh Heege now under threat by 1.5 behind Tim Reed, trying to change up the order of operations here tonight. We should have this lap plus 1 more, if I'm not mistaken. Joe Williams close on track to his teammate John Jennings. Tim Reed, the driver right now, who's really trying to shake things up within a half second of Josh Heege for just a blimp of time on my leaderboard. Opens the gap up to around 1 second. Obviously pushing for this position like his life depended on it right now. Can this AMG catch up to the Ferrari out in front? That is one fast Fiat, boys and girls. I'm not sure with 1 lap remaining. Can it be done? Catching is one thing. Passing, completely different ball game. Almost a full second faster on that previous lap was Tim Reed over Josh Heege. Maybe something wrong with that fast Fiat, folks. Going to the outside line is a bit dangerous, but trying to make it work the long way around the outside. The AMG can't find the daylight there, but sticks with it up the hill into the cutting on the final lap. They're going to go door to door. The Ferrari tried to cut back inside, but the AMG just existed there, closing down the gap, and Tim Reed gets the move done in the final stages of this event, working his way up into P2 over Joshua Heege. It's not over and done with just yet. Josh has done a great job of closing down the gap yet again. Unleash the pace coming out of the final pair of corners. Will he be able to make a move up the inside? No, it's going to have to be the long way around the outside through the chase. But the 65 goes off in deep, and that'll be Josh Heege back up into P2. Tim Reed in third. The 155, excuse me, is the car I'm looking at. Holy smokes, Tim Reed biffs it going into the final corner for the final time. Lost out to Josh Heege, who finishes in P2. Andy White crosses the line in P1. John Jennings in 5th place, still battling it out with Gerald Williams when we got to the line. 2/10 being the margin there. Oliver Jansen being the driver in 7th place, with Tyler Reed coming home in 8th. For the amateurs, it'll be Rene Garcia, Nicholas Batista, Matthew Sherwood, Brandon Mateo, James Vardigans, and Paul McHugh. And looks like someone's lining up for a screenshot here. And we'll go ahead and pull up the replay and get everybody situated for their interviews. Stand by, and we'll be back in just a few moments' time, folks. Let's go ahead and talk to Andy White, the driver I was just looking for. Andy, how the heck are you? Good. 1 second as I get you looped into Discord. It seems to not be cooperating. Try speaking now.
How you doing, buddy?
Living the dream, but not as much as you are right now, sir.
Yeah, we got quite lucky there at the end, I believe.
Yeah. In a pretty hectic battle getting towards the line there. Not what you expected at all. What are your thoughts?
Well, I took damage pretty early on. I just caught the wall and got wheel damage. So after about 3 or 4 laps, maybe 1 or 2 more, I was just nursing that wheel damage, trying to get the car far enough up the road so I don't need to stop twice. So we managed to do that, and then it was just a case of getting on with it and trying to close the gap. And then I was quite surprised at the end, like Josh's tyres. I don't know if his tyres were going off, but it just seemed to be struggling a little bit. And I just saw the opportunity, so I thought, let's do it.
Well, it ended up working out in your favor. Andy White, driver who took home P1 in class, did so with grace and style. And again, pretty good strategy. Now, was it due to your pit stop cycle that you think that you gained so much time?
No, because I had to pit just for the damage. I was losing too much time. So as soon as the window opened where I could refuel to the end, I was in to get the damage fixed, and then we was just back on it. But luckily, we had quite a clear track, so we could just get our head down, get on with it, and just hit them lap times.
Pretty good strategy, and it worked out in your favor. Thank you very much for joining us, Andy White. Really appreciate it. Next up, or is there anybody that you'd like to thank or anybody that you'd like to shout out before I let you go?
Shout out to the missus and the kids. They're always watching. Shout out to Dan for organising it all and all the team here. And shout out to yourself for the broadcasting. And a final shout out to everybody at Clarks and James. These lads are incredible.
Right on. Thank you very much for joining us, Andy White. Now we'll let you go, and we'll talk to Joshua Heege and Tim Reed next. Josh, are you there?
Yeah, I got you.
Right on, Josh. Amazing battle going into the final couple of corners on the very final lap. Now, what was going through your head there?
Well, I had a good quality, but it's so easy to invalidate a lap on this track. I figured still might have some work to do. It's kind of, I don't know if I rather like driving out by myself and letting stuff creep in my head or staying busy in the pack. But yeah, just there towards the end, I was starting to lose the tires. Felt like there was oil on that last corner the last couple laps, and I tried doing a few things to catch back up, messing with my brake bias and stuff, but I don't really know what I'm doing and haven't had a lot of practice in the rig, just chasing some gremlins down and stuff like that. So I don't feel like I was 100%. It's nice to see I still had a little bit of pace out there.
It is nice to have a little bit of pace in the bag as well, but with Mount Panorama, you're never driving at that 110% or 102% limit, are you? You're always conserving something back just a little bit. Was self-preservation going through your head at one point in time? I saw you kind of overdrive the car at a couple of spots, maybe have a brief touch with the wall or overdrive the tires a little bit.
Yeah, I felt like I was having a lot of trouble on the exits and going through some of the mountain sections where you're not really using the brakes. I was lifting quite a bit throughout the race and just didn't have the tires at the end, I guess.
Copy that. Now, pit stop strategy, 55% fuel load. Did that concern you at all, or was that just part of your normal day-to-day operations? Yeah,
I usually run it down. I didn't have a whole lot of plans with that. I just kind of hopped in and did the race. It's a one-man team right now.
Gotcha. Anybody that you'd like to shout out or anybody that you'd like to thank before I let you go? And we talk to Tim Reed next.
Yeah, I'm kind of new to this series, so I'll get around to maybe hanging out a little bit. Thank Dan and company for setting all this up. My friend Craig, he's helped me out a bunch. My friend Ben just had his first child not too long ago. And thank you for filling in.
No problem.
Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving.
Great shout outs indeed. Thank you very much for joining us, Josh. We really appreciate you. Have a wonderful night and go enjoy some leftovers.
Later.
Next, we're going to talk to, I believe it'll be Tim Reed next for the GT3 Pro category. Yes, it is Tim Reed. Driver from Scotland. Living the dream. How about you, Tim?
Yeah, good, thanks, yeah.
Great. Glad to hear it. Now, again, same question poised at you. Good battle for the entire race, trying to keep it as close as possible in third position. Just wasn't enough there at the line.
Yeah, the last lap caught me out a bit because on the brakes at the end, because I wasn't expecting to be in a battle at the end. I kind of didn't have the pace of Andy and Josh, so I just decided to go into fuel saving mode and save the tires, and then just hopefully Andy catches up to Josh and they start getting a battle and slowing their times down, and that kind of played out. And then Josh was having a bit of issues with tires at the end, and I managed to get him on the straight and go too wide into the first corner of the hill, and then managed to get the move done. But because I was fuel saving all race and lifting and coasting, that last lap I had to actually brake late, and then I messed up my brake marker on the last corner, so I wasn't able to hold it. But it's one of them tracks, and it's super tricky. Super
Very
tricky.
tricky track. Very unforgiving as well, not only because of the barriers, but because even during the high speed stuff, you get plenty of runoff, enough rope to hang yourself with, really, and run yourself pretty deep and wide going into the final pair of corners. But my hat's off to anybody that completed a couple laps around Mount Panorama. This was one of the very cleaner races that I've seen, I think. And you guys did a fantastic job of navigating the mountain and making it look graceful while you were doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope the stream was good. Like, I look forward to looking back and watching it.
Don't watch it back too closely. You might catch my mistakes, okay?
Yeah, but you could catch your mistakes as well.
Yeah, that is a two-way street. Now, is there anybody that you'd like to shout out or anybody that you'd like to thank, Tim? You have a lot of followers in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, big congrats to Andy. I want to put that out there. His racing's come on a lot. He's absolutely flying at the moment, almost untouchable. Yes, I've got some friends in the chat, some close friends. I'd like to say hi to Josh, Michael, Doogie, Naffers, and one of our teammates is in there, Jeremy, as well.
Right on. Thank you very much for acknowledging the fans in the YouTube chat. Really appreciate that as always. Have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks' time.
Cheers, mate. Ciao.
Ciao. And now let's pull in or talk to Mr. Rene Garcia, the winner of the amateur category. Rene, silent but deadly race, kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, definitely. I'll take it. I mean, I went into this race thinking P2 was good enough. I had a feeling Nick will win the M category, and yeah, turned out different. I'll take it.
Very differently than I expected as well. Now, you did have a really good short pit stop. Now, did you expect to get ahead of Nick doing that undercut strategy?
Actually, no. I do want to apologize to Nick. I hit him coming into pits, but he broke really early. Gave us both 4Xs, I think. Sorry, Nick, but yeah, we stopped, and I usually know Nick takes tires, so I was wondering if he would or he wouldn't. I took off, and he's still sitting there, so I assumed he took tires, but then he took off right after me. So I don't know what happened there. I got in front of him. I wasn't gonna pit there, but I saw him pit, so I just followed him in, and that was that.
Nice. Very good race, and it all worked out in your favor at the end of the day. Now, is there anything in your race that we may have missed or anybody that you'd like to shout out before I let you go?
That's basically it. Good, uneventful race. I'll take it. Thank you, Nick. And thank you guys. Appreciate what you guys do. Broadcast, the whole race crew, everything. A shout out to my wife and kids for letting me sit here for a few hours and let me just zone off. And thanks to the company, Eminent Science and Graphics, the fellas back at 420 Motorsports. And yeah, looking forward to the next race.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Rene. Now let's talk to Nick Batista next. Driver who fought hard all race long to maintain their lead, but unfortunately was unable to do so. Nick, talk to us about your race a little bit.
So quali went good. I was a bit concerned right before the start when during the quali I knew Joel was pretty quick himself and he qualified right behind me. Then I noticed, I guess he must have had an incident right at the start. And as I was looking at my relative, all I saw was pros behind me. I was like, oh my God. So as the race progressed and I saw the pros coming up, I knew that was my fight. So I didn't want to try and get into a tangle or anything.
Right.
So I started letting them go through, and I saw Renee slowly getting close. And during practice and prep, getting ready for this race, I was looking more or less at about a 45-minute race. At about 20 minutes, I was going to dive into the pits. To my surprise, Renee came right behind me, and as we came in, I hit the limiter and I felt the bump, and I was like, "Ouch!" Renee's such a bully. Anyways, all love to Renee. Renee's a great guy. We always run together, and we even run together in endurance races too. So I came into the pits. I didn't take tires. What I always do, I always add at least a couple of clicks extra of fuel. That's where he got me.
Got it.
So as he came out, right as Lollipop came up, I saw him passing by, and I was like, "Crap, he got me." So came out, and we kept pushing, and we came up on traffic as we were fighting to try and get through traffic. He was able to get past, but then I got stuck behind, and after that, pretty much I just left the chat, and I was at about a 3 second gap, and it was hard just to try and catch up to him. So I did everything that I could right towards the end. I guess he must have had an off track or something. And right, I was like less than 3/10 off of him when he came across the line. But hey, I can't complain. P2 is good. So
Yeah. And especially around a grueling track like this, plus the pit stop strategy being thrown into there as well. Couldn't have been easy to make the pit stop call when you guys had to, but also gives you a moment to reprieve the mountain and rest before heading up it one more time.
oh yeah, I love this track. So
I'd drive it 24/7 if I could. It's an amazing racetrack, that's for sure.
definitely.
Now, Nick, is there anybody that you'd like to thank or anybody you'd like to shout out before I let you go?
First and foremost, my wife Rosanna. She always supports me in everything that I do, especially sim racing. My buddies Renee, Josh Heggie. Don't let him tell you that he's a one-man gang. He hangs around
Yeah,
with us too.
that's true. He's always with us. That's true.
Yeah.
He's a liar.
So Renee, Josh, Jarrell, Josh Mirror, Travis Fleming, Alex Howland, the guys at the SGI 420 Motorsports, Dan Fendick, IRPAS. Thanks for allowing us to race with you guys. It's a great series. We're having a blast, and looking forward to the next race, and you guys for hosting the events. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that from you, Nick. Have a wonderful night, brother.
Thank you.
And next up, we'll talk to, I believe it's Matthew Sherwood, who came in third place for the GT3 AMs. Matt, driving that Marlboro livery around with pride. How do you fare for third place?
Yeah, it was better than I probably deserved, honestly. I wasn't really too practiced and on pace coming into this race. I've had a few of the last IRPAS races off for traveling or other activities that have kind of gotten away the schedule. And then I botched the qualifying pretty bad, but fortunately I got a decent start and got past a few people getting into and out of the first corner. And then I was pretty much just lapping, kind of the people behind me fell behind, the people in front walked away, and pretty uneventful race from there on out.
In the amateur category, it's got to be difficult to negotiate the same amount of real estate with some of the pros getting by. Did you have any incidences getting involved with some of the pros? I mean, you were up 6 positions, biggest gainer on the evening tonight, gaining 6 from where you started in qualifying down into 16th place. You must have had some incidences or close calls out here on Mount Panorama.
There was one person who spun in front going downhill, but it wasn't. They kind of spun out of the way. I didn't catch the name of that driver, but honestly, it's pretty clean. I did have an AM come through who was faster than me. I think it was Alex something, and I didn't really fight him too much because I was having a hard time keeping up with the person in front of me, and I thought maybe I could latch onto his bumper and make it on through. But then I made a mistake shortly after that and lost his bumper too. So letting him fast didn't really do me any favors. But no, it was pretty clean.
Very nice. Glad to hear it. Well, is there anybody that you'd like to shout out or anybody that you'd like to thank, Matthew?
I mean, it's been said, but shout out Dan and John and everyone that's helped put or keep the series alive and recruit new people. It's pretty awesome.
Sure is. Thank you very much for joining me, Matthew. Really appreciate it. Have a great night, brother.
Thanks, you too.
Is there anybody in here that I may have missed that would still like to give an interview or any final words? See none. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. We're going to close things out for the evening. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you very much for staying tuned. It's been a pleasure to take you for Greed a Checkered Flag here tonight. It's been a wonderful evening, but all good things have to come to an end, and so must this broadcast. If you liked, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, find out when the next event will be hosted. Maybe we'll find you out on the racetrack as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful night, and as always, make sure you stay safe out there.